Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
This is exactly the scenario Major League Baseball has been quietly dreading, and you can almost feel the unease ripple through the league offices as the picture sharpens. The Toronto Blue Jays are standing at the center of a free agency storm, and suddenly the paths to Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker look far clearer than anyone anticipated just weeks ago. What felt like distant ambition is now beginning to resemble inevitability, and as other teams peel away one by one, the tension only grows. This is not just another update, this is a turning point, and by the end of this video, you may see why the next few days could redefine the balance of power in the American League. If you appreciate this kind of in-depth, real-time analysis, do take a moment to like the video, share it with fellow fans, and subscribe to stay right here as the story unfolds. Free agency has entered that fascinating phase where silence becomes more revealing than noise. Kyle Tucker remains unsigned. Bo Bichette remains unsigned. And yet, all around them, doors are quietly closing. Late last night, news broke that Ha-Seong Kim had agreed to a deal with the Atlanta Braves, a move that might seem innocuous at first glance but carries enormous weight beneath the surface. That signing effectively removes Atlanta from the Bo Bichette conversation, and that matters more than many realize. For weeks, the Braves had been whispered about as one of the most credible alternative homes for Bo, a team that could offer both a long-term shortstop role and a genuine chance to contend. With Kim now in place, that option disappears, and the market tightens further in Toronto's favor. It is remarkable how quickly the landscape has shifted. The Phillies, once thought to be a serious threat for Kyle Tucker, have filled their outfield with other commitments, quietly bowing out of that race. The Red Sox, despite all the noise, appear increasingly focused on Alex Bregman rather than Bo Bichette. One by one, the supposed rivals are choosing different roads, leaving the Blue Jays standing alone at the crossroads with both stars still in reach. Fans online have begun to joke that Bo and Tucker are falling into Toronto's lap, but beneath the sarcasm lies a very real truth. This offseason is bending in a way that heavily favors the Jays. Then came a moment that added fuel to an already growing fire. Buck Martinez, a voice synonymous with Blue Jays baseball and someone deeply connected to the heartbeat of the organization, spoke candidly about the clubhouse he witnessed last season. He described it as the best he had ever seen in franchise history, a statement that carries weight given his decades around the team. When pressed about Bo Bichette, Buck didn't hesitate. He spoke with confidence, suggesting that Bo genuinely wants to be back in Toronto, placing it at an 8 out of 10 likelihood. That is not a reporter speculating, that is a trusted insider speaking from experience and proximity. What makes this particularly compelling is that it aligns perfectly with what Bichette himself has said publicly, and what others close to the situation have echoed. Time and again, Bo has expressed his affection for the city, the team, and the environment he's grown within. When players say those things, cynics often roll their eyes, assuming it's polite noise. But those who know Bichette insist that when he speaks like that, he means it. The question, as it so often is in baseball, is not desire but valuation. How much does Toronto believe Bo Bichette is worth, and how far are they willing to go to ensure he never wears another uniform? This is where Kyle Tucker's situation becomes inextricably linked, even if technically the markets are separate. Reports from insiders like John Morosi suggest the Blue Jays will stay in the Tucker race until the very end, though there is skepticism about whether they can land both stars. Morosi expects clarity on Tucker's market within the next 48 to 72 hours, which in free agency terms is an eternity and a heartbeat all at once. Meanwhile, Shadavidi has indicated that Tucker and his camp are actively meeting with interested teams this week, after which the market should begin to crystallize. The lack of concrete leaks so far only adds to the intrigue. At this point, the Dodgers loom as the primary alternative. If Tucker prefers a shorter-term deal with an eye-watering annual value, Los Angeles makes sense. If he wants length, security, and the chance to be the centerpiece of a franchise hungry for sustained dominance, Toronto's case strengthens considerably. There has even been quiet speculation about a mammoth offer in the region of $400 million, perhaps softened with opt-outs to balance risk and flexibility. It's a staggering number, but Kyle Tucker is not an ordinary player. Even in an injury-affected 2024, he remained a reliable force in the lineup, and healthy, he transforms an offense overnight. The question, then, is philosophical as much as financial. Would you give Kyle Tucker $400 million? It's a question that divides fan bases and front offices alike. The Blue Jays, by all indications, may already be hovering slightly below that figure, waiting to see if the market blinks. As more teams step away, that leverage shifts. Each passing day without a Tucker signing subtly strengthens Toronto's hand, and that is precisely what has the rest of the league watching nervously. There is also a growing sense that the order of operations matters enormously. If the Blue Jays were to land Tucker first, the ripple effect could make re-signing Bichette more feasible, both financially and emotionally. A lineup anchored by Tucker sends a powerful message about intent, about winning now, and about building something formidable. Conversely, if Bichette were to sign first, it becomes harder to imagine Toronto pushing their chips quite as far into the center for Tucker. These are independent decisions on paper, but in reality, they are chapters of the same story. Jeff Passan has openly acknowledged the possibility that Toronto could pull off the double coup, landing both Tucker and Bichette. If that were to happen, he suggested, the Blue Jays would immediately become favorites in the American League. It's not hard to see why. A team that already reached the World Series, adding 2 elite bats and a Cy Young caliber arm in Dylan Cease, would suddenly look less like a contender and more like a juggernaut. From the league's perspective, that is a frightening prospect, one that threatens competitive balance in a very real way. While all eyes remain fixed on the marquee names, it's important not to overlook what Toronto have already done. The signing of Tyler Rogers to a 3-year, $37 million deal is more than a footnote. It represents a calculated effort to weaponize contrast within the bullpen. Rogers' low, submarine release point pairs beautifully with the high release profile of Trevor Richards, creating a visual nightmare for opposing hitters. The decision to designate Justin Bruihl for assignment to make room was difficult but necessary, and it underscores a front office willing to make hard choices in pursuit of marginal gains that add up over a season. This is what makes the current moment so fascinating. The Blue Jays are not waiting idly for a savior. They have already reshaped their roster in meaningful ways, addressing pitching, depth, and balance. Dylan Cease alone represents a splash that most teams would call an off-season success. Everything that comes next is additive, potentially transformative. As Christmas approaches and the calendar edges toward January, the sense of anticipation only intensifies. So here we are, standing on the brink. Bo Bichette is still available. Kyle Tucker is still available. The list of competitors is shrinking. The pieces are aligning in a way that feels almost scripted, and yet nothing is guaranteed until ink meets paper. This is the beauty and the agony of free agency, where hope and anxiety coexist in equal measure. If you've enjoyed following this saga, remember to like the video, share it with other Blue Jays fans, and subscribe so you're here when the next chapter drops. Because whether it breaks tomorrow or next week, something big is coming, and Toronto appears ready to seize it.